Okay, you lot, so we are making part 2 of our series where we are reviewing every single item in the game, and previously in the first episode I have reviewed every single weapon. This includes how you unlock them, how they work, and the best scenarios where you can use them in. Today we are going for part 2 and we are gonna be looking at gadgets. So we are gonna be looking at every single gadget that exists in the game at this moment. We will discussing on what sort of unlock conditions they have, essentially what you need to do in order to receive them, and later we'll talk about the best cases on how to use them, as well as put them all in a tier list. Now for reference, I am currently at level 41 at the Elite Hunter program. Unfortunately, I'm not in the global leaderboards as of now, but I am currently rank 2 in the local leaderboard, so hey, keeping it in the top spots so far, right? And yeah, also for reference, this is what the tier list will look like. So as per usual, we have the 5 default tiers, so we'll have S and A tiers for weapons that are super good. We'll have C and F tiers for weapons who are either quite bad or borderline like unusable. And last video I just kept it as B, but this time I've added this sort of explanation called generalist, right? And in the B tier I will put items that are either very sort of like middle of the line, right? Or I will put items that have like only one specific purpose, but it is the best at that purpose. For example, let's say there is a big need for a lot of single target damage. If a gadget is perfect for single target damage only, and it is by far the best item in that tier, that item would go into something like B tier, right? So yeah, that's just a short briefing of how the tier list will work, and yeah, let's begin. By the way, if you want to follow only a specific item, feel free to check either the description or at the bottom of the video bar. I will put chapters to every single weapon, or I mean every single gadget. If you only want to find a specific gadget, how to unlock it, and how I use it, feel free to use that as well. Okay, let's go. So starting with our first gadget, that is the splash heal. So this item you will unlock as soon as you start the game. I believe as soon as you get your monster slugger, you will also get your splash heal. It may require like one mission, but if you are watching this video by now, you probably already have this item. The way it works is essentially it is a 16-second cooldown, and it is a big ranged AoE heal for you, all of the allies, and pets, right? Essentially every single friendly target. The way it works is really simple. Really, there is just like no sort of hidden mechanics behind it. If there is a friendly target that needs healing, you essentially just pop it. It will give an instant heal to all allies in that range. And yeah, as you can see at my current level, without any like passives boost or anything like that, it's currently healing just shy of 2000 health. And unfortunately the cooldown of it is quite high, but yeah, there's really not much to add to this one. It's just a simple heal. You pop it, it pops instantly. As you can see, if you take a little bit of damage, it will heal myself as well. But yeah, now for scenarios where you use this item, right? Unfortunately, later on, not even later on, but even like early on, after like level 10 or something, you will not have too much use for this item, right? The only scenario where I can see it being somewhat useful is certain dojo levels, such as Helping Hands. In these levels, you are essentially trying to be the boss, but also want to keep these plump spirits alive, because they will be doing majority of the damage. So in those cases, it is an option to use the splash heal in there, right? However, trust me, it is definitely not a requirement, because there are a lot of other healing items, and by the time you reach this dungeon, you already have almost every gadget unlocked, and there will be many more gadgets that are better at this. This includes Staff of Good Vibes. This includes the smaller healing potion that only heals a single target but also has a much lower cooldown. Lots of passives, lots of ring buffs, so essentially Splash heal is only there for a specific level of the dojo, or to simply just heal up some allies while you are hunting in worlds. Really, unfortunately, in the current meta, there isn't too much need of healing your whole team, right? Pretty much every single rift that you do essentially only requires you to do damage and some control. Apart from that, pretty much every player is responsible for their own healing, and that is usually more than enough. So yeah, when it comes to splash heal, really not much use for it. So while it is a overall pretty decent item when it comes to healing, right, like the healing is instant, the healing is pretty big, and the cooldown could be a bit lower on it, but yeah, it's a very simple item. It only has very few uses, but it's definitely still a usable item if you want for healing. As you know, when it comes to healing, especially healing others, there's only really two items, that is the splash heal and this little potion here. So when it comes to healing, of course, if you are going for like a full healing setup, if you need a bunch of healing, you will want to use this gadget, but overall, it really doesn't have much. I'm not gonna put it in F tier because F tier is for borderline unusable items. C tier, I would put it like low C tier, whereas you can use it, but it really has no place in the meta, and it has very few users overall in terms of PvE content. And next up, we have the Smart Fireworks. So this one is on a 20-second cooldown. Smart Fireworks, it launches 5 enemy-seeking fireworks that deal area damage at long range. And yeah, in order to unlock them, you will need to be at level 1, and the quest for it will be to create a name for your user. So again, if you are watching this video, you most likely have this unlocked, because you will require to choose your essentially profile name like several minutes into the game. So yeah, most of you will use this, and yeah, let's review it. So in a way, this gadget is very simple. Again, you essentially just launch rockets at the closest target to you. They do AoE damage to all enemies around the target hit. As you can see, those 4 targets were close enough for the rockets to hit all of them. And yeah, unfortunately, while the damage they do is pretty good, unfortunately the range, not the range, but their cooldown is a little high, which means that it is a very good option for damage early on until you unlock some better gadgets, but as soon as you get gadgets such as the pepper spray or the snow globe, this item will fall off quite a bit. Now early on, especially like within the first 10 levels, the rocket gadgets will be pretty decent for some of the rift content, right, as well as a few dojo battles, especially like the first few dojo battles. Apart from that, right, as soon as you unlock the pepper spray that you see right here, the rockets will fall off quite a bit, because both the snow globe and the pepper spray will just be a little bit better AoE damage abilities, right? The only cases where I would use a rocket is if I really need a third damage ability, right? In this case, I'm only using it to showcase, right? Instead of the rockets, I would use the vitamin shot in the spot, because vitamin shot is able to boost the portable portal way more, and the more I use the portable portal, the more I will use the pepper spray. But yeah, if you want a little bit of damage, if you want damage that is a little bit higher range than the pepper spray, for example, it is an option, right? But unfortunately, again, apart from the few early levels, you really won't find too much use for it, right? So yeah, it does good damage. If you pair it with a lot of the passives such as the unstable lighting, it will be doing very high damage just from that as well. But yeah, if we look at the damage charts, you will notice that the amount of damage the Smart Fireworks did fall really badly in comparison to the snow globe or the pepper spray. So yeah, it's a backup option. It's a good early game option until like level 10, maybe level 15 at max. After that, they are gonna be very situational, and you really won't use them that much more. So overall, for rockets, again, like they are one of the best options when you have like no gadgets unlocked, but as soon as you unlock the pepper spray, as soon as you unlock items like the snow globe, even like items like the boombox, the rockets will really fall behind a bit. They do have their use in specific stages, especially like dojo stages. I know some people use them in the nightmare mode of the dojo stages. I tried it in one of my teams, it worked, right? But they aren't a gadget that I couldn't replace with another gadget. So yeah, again, decent early game, but really don't have much use as soon as you unlock some better gadgets. I'm gonna give them a C tier. I'm gonna give them a higher C tier than the splash wheel for sure, but nonetheless a C tier. And the next gadget we have is the boombox. So this one does have a much lower cooldown than the rockets. It does damage in an AoE around you. Essentially, it's almost as good as a melee gadget pretty much. And it will do damage all around you, and for all non-boss monsters it will also stun them. Now, in order to unlock this gadget, you will need to reach level 4 on your account, and you'll need to do a main quest of saving spirits. I believe this one is from like the second map in the worlds mode. So just make sure to do the main quests from the NPC once you hit level 4, and you will be able to easily unlock this. And yeah, if we are looking at the damage from the boombox, you can see that it will essentially do damage in a close range. I would say when it comes to like weapons and gadgets, for close range items at least, this has pretty decent range, I would say. It is also able to pretty much hit all of the items anywhere you stand on that wooden platform. So the range is not horrible for like a melee item, but yeah, the damage it does is pretty decent, especially for the cooldown. And if you need scenarios where you have to stop some units from moving, or you just want to do a little bit of damage on a low cooldown, it's a really good option. Now, the main scenarios where I would use the boombox is usually either if you want to do a little bit of extra damage to a lot of the units around you, or if you are trying to run away. So what you can see I'm doing here is I have the squid blades, right? I am trying to run away in order to charge their passive and become invisible, right? This is one of the best scenarios where I use them these days if I need to, right? You can use them not as much as a damaging material, but for utility in trying to run away. If you see that there's a very annoying monster chasing you, maybe he's like same speed or faster than you, and continuously keeps hitting you and not allowing you to go into the invisibility phase, you can pick up something like a boombox. You can stun that unit, dash away or just run away, and charge up your invisibility. And also in some scenarios like this, right, for example in this mode where I am fighting the boss, I believe I'll probably die here, but yeah, if you are fighting bosses like this and you see that, for example, there's a few units that are currently chasing you, you can quickly drop the boombox, stun them, and only have the boss monsters run after you. This will, of course, make it a little bit easier for you to run away from all of the threats, right? But overall, it's a decent close range item. It has its uses, right? It has a few uses. I cannot say that it's an unusable item, somewhat like a rocket. But overall, again, the main drawback of it is that it is a close range item. So in a lot of like high level scenarios where you are taking a bunch of damage from a lot of bosses, it can be a little bit scary. But yeah, overall, most of the use I found for the boombox is usually like rifts or harder content. I use it more as a utility option rather than damage, but also if you see that you are lacking a little bit of damage, or maybe your weapons take a while to charge, and for example you're running like squid blades, you can quickly dash to them. You can do a little bit of a drop on the boombox for some additional damage, or just to stun a lot of the units, right? So overall, when it comes to the boombox, I definitely don't hate the item. I do know that you will use it less and less as time goes on, right? I know that in the beginning, this item was super OP, right? It was like one of the best damaging gadgets until you hit items like the pepper spray, so I was using it permanently in my team, right? But yeah, it definitely falls up a bit. It does have its use. I would have to say that it is much better than the rockets in my opinion. It has more use than them because first of all, it has use in utility, not just damage, and if you do want damage at close range, it is a very good option on a much lower cooldown than rockets. So yeah, honestly, I would give it like a low B tier. I don't want to put it in C tier because I feel like C tier is for weapons that have their use, but there's like not a lot of use. I feel like Boombox is definitely still a very usable item. It's not the best, but it's definitely not bad as some of the other items. So yeah, I would put it in like a low B tier myself. And the next gear we will be reviewing is the vitamin shot. Now I know this one is a bit controversial. Some people really hate it. Some people don't see any use for it. I find it personally one of the most important gadgets in the game, right? But that could be just my playstyle, right? This item is all about buffing your weapon, right? So what it does is it temporarily increases your attack speed as well as heals you and your pets when they attack, right? Now in order to unlock this item, the conditions are super simple. You just have to hit a level 9 on your character and you will receive it as the level up reward. And the main uses for the vitamin shot are quite a few actually, right? First of all, you could use it as a simple healing item, right? Because as soon as you use the item, not only do you heal just from having it active, but also every time you attack you will be healing even more. So essentially this item will not only boost the passive heals that you get from your weapon. So for example, if you have something like Vampire Teeth passive, you can see I am healing 59 per each hit. If I pop the vitamin shot, not only will I be healing from the vitamin itself, but also because I'm gaining more attack speed, the Vampire Teeth passive, for example, will be healing me even more as well. So you can see that in just a quick gadget pop, in like 10 seconds, I was able to heal up for half of my HP. So yeah, pretty good item. You can use it defensively, you can use it offensively. Even if you don't attack with your weapon, you can just pop it and let it heal you for a bit. So yeah, it has a lot of uses. It combos really well with a lot of weapons. It combos quite well with a lot of passives, and yeah. Now when it comes to using the vitamin shot, especially if we are talking about doing damage to bosses, this is usually the setup that I run. So essentially you will take a very high attack speed, high damage weapon such as the speed shot, the spinsicles, squid blades. A lot of these options will work just as fine, right? If you are targeting bosses specifically, speed shot is usually the best one. And what you would do is you would take some gadgets that you need to clear some waves with. So I usually just stick with the snow globe, and you can take a vitamin shot on top of that, not only to boost the charge rate of your weapons like the spinsicle and the speed shot, but also to just highly boost the damage. Also, another cool thing is if you see that you don't need a lot of healing, since vitamin shot does provide healing by itself, it does remove the need for a Vampire Teeth passive, which means you can replace it with a more offensive passive if you see that you have more than enough healing. But for example, in a lot of boss setups, this is the usual setup I go for. Speed shot for the damage, I would go vitamin shot and really cool sticker. I will talk about this one towards the end because this is the last gadget that you unlock and it is the perfect combo with vitamin shot. I would go for snow globe for some AoE clears, and for the passives I usually go Vampire Teeth, but I also go for unstable lightning and unstable beam because those will be boosting your damage a lot, right? And for a lot of showcases in this video, especially when we need to find a single target boss, I will be showcasing it in Big Papa. I feel like it's the perfect mix where a lot of people have unlocked it, but also not a lot have cleared it in under 2 minutes. So I feel like it's the perfect option to showcase. A lot of people will be familiar with this boss. So yeah, when it comes to doing boss damage, right, you can see that as soon as I pop the vitamin shot, my speed shot bow goes even crazier, right? So it helps me in doing damage, it helps me in charging it up in case I get knocked down. So even if you're not using it purely for damage, it does allow you to scale up much faster. This is of course super important for speed shots, spin circle, and all of these items that highly rely on charging up as fast as possible. I also really often use it on items like the portable portal, where for example if you need to deal with a large group of enemies and you need to pop that portable portal passive as soon as possible. It helps in charging that as well, right? Because it is based on how many basic attacks you do, and since it does increase the attack speed of your weapons, it also increases on how often you can use the gadget. So this gadget is extremely versatile. It boosts your weapons a lot, it boosts your passives a lot, it boosts your other gadgets a lot. It heals you, it gives you more damage. I can't even find any downside to this weapon, right? Not weapon, the gadget. Honestly, literally any team that you can think of, you could fit this in, right? Yeah, as you can see here, the damage numbers, we're not really looking at damage numbers, we're mostly looking at the vitamin shot healing. Because the vampire teeth did majority of the healing, vitamin shot is on the lower end, but you can see that it helps with the healing numbers as well. But yeah, vitamin shot is an absolutely game changer, and as soon as you unlock it, this one will pretty much be a permanent item in your team, trust me. And I know some people really don't like using it. I feel like it's one of the best items in the game, and hey, since this tier list is mostly my personal opinion on what I found to work and what I found to not work in a lot of the content that I've cleared, it's going straight to the S tier, right? It's going straight to the S tier. I'm not sure whether it's gonna be the best gadget yet. I will try to summarize my thoughts on that, but by far, it definitely deserves the S tier. It's one of the strongest gadgets. I know for some reason people don't like this gadget. I'm not sure why. It carried me a lot, whether I needed more damage, more healing, all of that. It's the perfect gadget, honestly. It boosts your passives, it boosts your weapons. It's simply amazing, right? Easy S tier. And the next gadget we have is the monster taser. So this one has a very short cooldown, only 5 seconds, and essentially it deals damage as well as stuns units that aren't boss monsters. Now this sort of description is a bit weird because the cases where you use this item are usually the boss monsters, right? Because you only use this when you're fighting like 1 or 2 enemies in total, right? So you are usually using it in order to do damage, and that enemy is usually a boss target. So the stun passive, usually you won't even trigger a lot of the times, right? You're mostly using it for damage. But yeah, in order to unlock this, the condition for it is super simple. You just have to reach character level 12, and as soon as you reach level 12 you will receive it as a level up reward. And just to see the taser in action, is it taser? I already forgot his name. Monster taser, right? Yeah, you can see that it is doing pretty decent damage for a single target gadget, right? It's doing just over 1000. At the moment this gadget is level 26 on my end, so it is on lower end, whereas most of my gadgets are 28 to 30. But there's some bad downsides to it. So as always, because this is a very single target oriented item, I'm gonna test it in Big Papa. And while I'm testing it, there's really not much to talk about in terms of using it, right? All it does is essentially it does damage as soon as you use it. So I'm gonna keep it running in the background, and I'll talk about a bit of the downsides of this item later on in the game, right? So when it comes to bosses, right, this was an item I really often used until I hit like level 15 or maybe even 20, right, when I unlocked the speed shot bow. And the reason I used it until then is it was one of the highest single target items that you could have. However, as soon as you unlock these really spammy high damage weapons like the spin sickle, like the speed shot, The problem with this gadget is, especially if you pair your weapons with vitamin and really cool sticker, you can see how much damage they are doing every second. They're shooting multiple times per second, which means that, for example, if you're anything like me, right, when you play this game, I only have one finger on the right side of my phone, right? I use my thumb to use both the weapon as well to activate any dashes or any other gadgets in the game, right? Yeah, you can see the damage here. If we're comparing it to speed shot and its passives, right, you can see 60k, 60k, 60k. Even the really cool sticker is pulling through with a lot of damage, and then the monster taser is only at 12,000, right? So yeah, the very big drawback I found as soon as I unlocked the speed shot is, while it is a good damage weapon, right, when you are using it, so I'm gonna equip something like the Squid Blades, right, so I don't have to charge it when showcasing it. Essentially, in order to use the monster taser, right, I would have to put my finger off the attack weapon, click the monster taser or any other gadgets that I have, and then go back to the weapon, right? And with a lot of these spammy weapons, especially if you pop something like a vitamin shot, you start shooting at the speeds of like 4 or 5 attacks a second, right? Maybe even more. The problem with that attack speed is, by the time you shoot this and move your finger back to the attack button, right, you probably missed like 2 or 3 attacks from your weapon. And while it may not seem like a lot from just the main attack damage, the real difference comes from all of the passives. If you have unstable laser, if you have unstable beam, pay attention to the orange colored numbers in here. You can see that the damage numbers are 150, but as soon as some of the passives proc, you can see damage numbers of 600 and even sometimes critical hits of almost 2000. So ideally, when you have a basic attack setup, doing 1000 damage with the monster taser really becomes quite useless. Especially you could just hit one critical lucky hit and do twice that damage. So instead of the monster taser, I would usually just use some sort of a gadget that either helps me with clearing the trash waves in that stage, or I would use some sort of a gadget that boosts my attack speed. For example, I could go for a vitamin shot, I could go really cool sticker, and instead stack the damage on my main weapon more, rather than constantly shift to monster taser and doing damage that way, right? So overall, really good gadget for killing a lot of higher HP targets, such as bosses, in the first 20 levels. But as soon as you unlock the speed shot bow, I feel like this gadget loses a lot of its use, right? So overall, because of this, I'm gonna give it a solid B tier, I think, right? I'm gonna put it below the boombox. Again, like, it's a very good item to use until level 20. Trust me, if you need a good damage source, I know that a lot of weapons until level 20 won't really be doing a lot of damage, especially single target damage, so monster taser will carry you quite far. But as soon as you unlock these higher tier weapons, as soon as you unlock these higher tier passives, the monster taser will fall up a lot, right? So I'm gonna give it a solid B tier. And the next item we have is the pepper spray. So pepper spray is a big one. In order to unlock it, you will need to hit a character level 14. So again, unlock conditions are pretty simple, and this gadget is gonna be the biggest game changer in the whole game. Trust me when I say this, this is probably gonna be like top 3 gadgets, not maybe in terms of strength, but in terms of how often you use it, right? You will use it in quite a few rifts, you will use it in pretty much every single dojo level, and it's also amazing in worlds. It does really good damage, it does have a lot of utility. The reason you use it varies a bit. For example, in dojo you usually use it both for the damage and the utility. In worlds you can use it mostly for the slowness. In rifts, however, you use it for the damage as well. So yeah, it varies what you use it for, but trust me, this weapon is amazing. And just to showcase how it works, Essentially, as soon as you activate the ability, you will shoot a little beam which will pass through some enemies and do damage anything that passes. However, that is not the correct way to use it. The correct way to use it is like this. You want to stand a bit of a distance away from your target, and the reason for that is the pepper spray, right? It will deal damage to everyone who it passes. However, it will deal multiple ticks of damage to all of the enemies that stay in the smoke. So if you stand close, the enemies will only receive 1 tick of damage, right? If you put the actual cloud over them, they will receive like 3 to 4 ticks of damage, which means that when using it, you don't want to stay right next to the enemies. You want to stay a little bit further away in order to maximize the damage that you do. And yeah, as I said before, this will be one of the most used items, especially in content like the Dojo, right? The Dojo that you unlock after you hit the Elite Hunter program. In here, you use it not only for massive amounts of damage, as you can see. The damage usually comes from the unstable lighting passive rather than the gadget itself, right? But the gadget is amazing at slowing down units, especially if you're using a team like this. As you can see, if there was no pepper spray, the snow globe would do a similar effect. However, the cooldown of it would be simply way too high, meaning that the pepper spray with a 12-second cooldown, or is it 14 seconds, is a perfect item for slowing a lot of the enemies down. On top of that, if you use a pepper spray together with the portable portal, it will be even more powerful of a weapon, not only for damage but also for slowing all of the enemies. And yeah, you can see that I'm able to clear stages like this in 50 seconds. If we're looking at damage charts, you can see that it easily out damages the snow globe. Now again, I did use the portable portal together with the pepper spray, so if I didn't have portable portal, I think the damage would be somewhat equal to the snow globe, maybe a bit less, but the lower cooldown on that slowness allows you to have a much more versatile weapon compared to just having the snow globe alone. And if you're looking at the damage, I wouldn't look too much into the damage for pepper spray. I would mostly look at the damage from the unstable lighting, actually, because this is a passive oriented build. In order to boost the damage of passives like unstable lighting and explode-o-matic, which are amazing into big groups of enemies, right? So yeah, pepper spray, extremely versatile item. Probably, honestly, apart from the vitamin shot, one of my most used items, whether I use it defensively, whether I use it offensively for damage. Defensively, of course, for the slowness in order to run away and heal up or charge some sort of ability. But yeah, one of the most versatile gadgets in the game, definitely has its use in a lot of content. Whether it's worlds, dojo, rifts, and even PvP. Actually, it's super OP in PvP if you are able to land that cloud on top of the enemies to do a lot of damage ticks. And yeah, it's easily going into S tier, trust me. You may not use it a lot early on, but the further you go, the more you will see yourself using this item. So yeah, together with the vitamin shot, it's definitely sticking in the the S tier category. And the next gadget we have is the snow globe. Now, in terms of usage, snow globe and pepper spray are very similar. The only difference is a snow globe has a massive 30-second cooldown, right? They do very similar effects. Both of them do area damage. Both of them slow all targets that they hit. However, the damage the snow globe will do will be higher because it works for a longer amount of time. However, the cooldown of it is also much higher in order to match the increased range, right? Now, in order to unlock this gadget, I just realized that I'm going a little bit not in a row, right? But I'm just going in a row based on the gadgets in the list here, right? So some of the later gadgets will have lower unlock requirements, but essentially in order to unlock the snow globe, you will need to hit a level 18 on your character, and you will also receive a main quest mission in order to beat one of the rifts, and that is the Twilight takedown, right? Once you beat the Twilight in the Rift, essentially the Big Papa boss that you have seen a little bit earlier in this video as well. Once you beat that boss, trust me, it's really not that difficult. Even if you have like one stronger player, you will be able to get carried easily. And once you beat this one, you will receive the snow globe from the main mission rewards. And now the way this gadget works is essentially super simple. As soon as you activate it, you will have this massive snow sort of range, right? And everyone in that range takes damage. I believe that is twice every second if I calculated it correctly, and at least based on the damage per second numbers at the top. You can see that it lasts for like 5 to 7 seconds, and it does damage twice every second to all enemies in that range, at the same time completely slowing them in the process, right? And when it comes to using that item, right, I took a bit of a wrong setup here. I should have changed the pepper spray for something like the super cool sticker or whatever it's called. I do have pepper spray, but whatever. Essentially, the scenarios where you use a pepper spray are the same scenarios where you would use the snow globe as well. But another cool use for the snow globe is just clearing a lot of these trash minion waves, as I like to call them, in a lot of other content, specifically rifts, right? For example, if you see that a rift is pretty hard for you to complete, if you don't have the squid blades unlocked and are not able to quickly pass through all of the waves, you can use the snow globe to quite easily clear a lot of the little monsters leading up to the boss, right? Now, unfortunately for Big Papa, it does not have these monsters, it only has the boss itself. But for a lot of other rifts, there will be a lot of units in the middle of them, right, before you reach the boss, and you can use snow globe to deal easily with those as well. Also, when you go into the worlds that unlock at level 20 and higher, you'll notice that pretty much the majority of the people are running snow globe when hunting a lot of the worlds, right? And the reason for that is the enemies start to get quite a little bit more difficult, and just having single target damage will not suffice anymore. Plus, it having a massive range. If you are running in a group of like 10 to 20 people just hunting random bosses around, right? As long as like 1 or 2 of you have the snow globe active, you will be able to wipe all of the enemies very easily. That's why you'll notice that as soon as you hit like level 20 and go into those later worlds, majority of the people will be running a snow globe in order to clear all of that, right? And yeah, you just saw the damage charts. I'll try to reverse it by a bit. Overall, I mean, snow globe is not like the main weapon you can use damage with to bosses, right? It does very lackluster single target damage. However, when you are fighting big hordes of enemies, it definitely does pretty well. You can see that it did like 3 times less damage than the squid blades, but that's understandable since squid blades is a very sort of like single target oriented build. And yeah, overall, very good item. You will use it a lot together with this pepper spray as well. Pretty much every scenario where you use the pepper spray, you will use snow globe together with it. And yeah, for that reason alone, it only makes sense to group them up together and also put them into the S tier category. The only different things between the pepper spray and the snow globe, I would say, is snow globe and portal don't work as well as the pepper spray and portal, right? But instead of that, you do have a much better use for snow globe in a lot of the random rifts and the world hunting scenarios compared to the pepper spray, so I feel like they equal out. And yeah, this gadget also gets an easy S tier. Okay, and the next gadget we have after the snow globe is the life jacket. Again, keep in mind that the unlock conditions might be a little easier than the snow globe, since I'm seeing that the level up unlocks are a bit lower for these, whereas the placement of them is like this, right? I'm not sure, maybe it counts based on how I unlocked it instead of just the unlock requirements. But yeah, the life jacket, the way it works is as soon as you use it, you shield yourself and your pets for a few seconds, and the shield breaks either when you receive enough damage or if the shield has not been broken for a long time. The long time is like a good 10 seconds. And once it breaks, it will explode and deal damage to everyone around you. Now, in order to unlock this weapon, you will need to hit character level 19. This is a level up reward, so you don't need to do any additional missions for it. As soon as you hit level 19, you will unlock it. And yeah. And in terms of how you use it, essentially you really just have to pop it. You can see that I'm not receiving any damage, and after a while, I believe it's like, okay, so it's around 6 seconds. After 6 seconds, if you do not receive enough damage, it will explode and deal damage to everyone around you. If you do activate the shield and receive enough damage, it will explode a little bit earlier. You can see it exploded after like 2 or 3 seconds there and does some damage, right? Now here is the big problem with the life jacket, right? Unfortunately, it doesn't really have a place in the meta at the moment, right? Any use for it is purely either for building a fun team or purely for the utility, right? So for example, if you're hunting in the worlds, you see that you end up receiving a lot of damage, and since there are a lot of people in the hunting groups, you can just use shield and avoid some of the damage because the other people will be having more than enough damage in their teams. Another niche fun use you can work with is, since it does shield you and your pets, as soon as you spawn a lot of pets, their shields will also explode and do massive amounts of damage. The problem with this is, first of all, your pets all have to survive, right? Which is not the case with a lot of pets like the bees and chickens. Also, by the time you unlock a lot of these pets like the bees and chickens, they really lose a lot of the value in there. Again, like all of the dungeons, all of the dojos I did, they really don't have any use for pet-based teams, right? Which unfortunately makes this quite a niche item, right? It's pretty much the only one of its kind, whereas instead of healing or instead of doing damage, it actually prevents damage, and in a way, you can say increases your max HP, because if you use it at max HP, you are essentially even tankier than you currently were with just having the full HP on your character. But overall, unfortunately, I don't see much use for this apart from the little bit of utility that you can have, right? The only cool interaction I will say is if how can I say it? If you have the squid blades unlocked, right, and you know that they do have a passive that turns you invisible after not getting attacked for a while, the only cool interaction with squid blades in life jacket is essentially, even if the mobs keep hitting you but you have the shield active, it will not cancel out the passive. So for example, if you see that you are getting hit by a lot of attacks but they don't do a lot of damage, you can pop the shield and keep running away, and instead of cancelling the charging meter on your squid blades, it will continue to charge and you will be able to run away. Apart from that, really, I don't see much use for this item at the moment, right? It's a really cool item, but really there's not much use to it. I tried to make it work in a lot of dojo levels where you have a lot of enemies. I tried to pick some gadgets that do AoE damage, like go into the middle, spawn some pets, see if they are able to do a lot of explosion damage. Unfortunately, none of that really works, and honestly, gadgets like the pepper spray and the snow globe will be much better at doing a lot of that AoE damage. So yeah, while I really like the utility of the light jackets, right, unfortunately I'm gonna have to give it an F ranking, right? I don't see any use of it at this moment. Maybe in the future, by the time chapter 2 comes out, we will get some dungeons where maybe you have to work purely with your pets or something like that, and in pet-based teams, I can see life jacket being one of the main utilities, because they will be one of the main damage sources, and they will be increasing the sustain of your pets as well. but for now, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to place them in the F tier. Okay, and the next gadget we have is the multi-zapper, right? The way this works is as soon as you use this gadget, it has a relatively big range, probably the same range as the snow globe, and as soon as you use it, it will quickly launch 12 zaps on random enemies, right? The problem with this is usually when you are using this gadget, you really only want to use it when there is a single enemy within your range, right? As soon as the single enemy gets another ally, right? Basically, if there's like 2 or more enemies, those 12 zaps, instead of landing on the same target, will now land 6 on each. And just because of the high cooldown that this item has, the utility of it will drop quite a bit, right? So yeah, as you can see in here, if we have 4 enemy targets in range, as soon as I use the zap ability, it will hit all of them equally, right? So while it does a good damage overall, it does only hit a single target. It does not do any splash damage, meaning that the total damage it will do is even lower than something like a pepper spray on a much lower cooldown. However, if you are only hitting a single target, all of the zaps will land on the same target and you will be doing a very high single target damage. Now, as per usual, I don't know why this happened, but I essentially crashed in the middle of the fight. But yeah, when you are fighting bosses, especially, again, like our good friend of the channel, Big Papa, when you are fighting bosses like this, multi-zapper is the perfect item to use. Of course, if the boss spawns all of these little eggs, you should avoid using the multi-zapper since it will be hitting the eggs as well. But once you have the single target only available, you can use the multi-zapper and do very respectable damage. Now again, similar problem to the monster taser, right? Not as much for sure, but a very similar issue is that if you are taking time to use the multi-zapper instead of using your basic attack, you are losing out on the basic attack damage a bit. Not as much, because the cooldown here is 18 seconds compared to the monster taser's 5, so there will be way less downtime on clicking the main attack weapon, especially if you're boosted with something like a vitamin. So yeah, when it comes to gadgets that do single target damage, this is probably one of the best ones, not in terms of raw damage, but in terms of being balanced around regular damage as well as the gadget damage, right? It does not require you to take off your finger off the main attack button as much, and in terms of that, on a much higher cooldown, you are able to spawn it a bit more, right? You can see the damage here is a little bit on the lower side, again, compared to the basic attack damage and the passive damage you can do from the speed shot bow is insane. However, keep in mind that a lot of the damage you do from the multi-zapper will be coming from the unstable lighting passive, especially in the current build where I have built it with passive crit damage or rather passive critical chance and passive damage. That's why you're seeing the weapon and the gadget damage be lower and the passive damage be higher. But yeah, overall, if you use the multi-zapper, you saw in the fight, the multi-zapper itself did like 280 damage per hit, but if it procced the unstable lighting passive, that passive did like 2,000 or 3,000 critical hits. So yeah, overall, a very good gadget for bosses. I've been using it for a very long time. However, towards the end, I did also switch it out for the really cool sticker. As soon as you unlock the really cool sticker, I feel like the damage you do just from your basic weapon, especially if you don't have a slot for the unstable lightning passive, will fall off quite a bit, right? So if you can afford to have unstable lighting in there, I would highly recommend keeping the multi-zapper in there. But if you simply do not have enough space for the unstable lightning, the multi-zapper will lose a lot of its use as well. So I was using it for a very long time as soon as I unlocked it for a lot of the boss content, until I got the really cool sticker gadget, at which point multi-zapper unfortunately had to go off my roster. So overall, this is a really good gadget. It has pretty much only one use. However, it is quite literally the perfect gadget for that use. I'm gonna say this again, I think this is, while it falls behind of raw damage of the monster taser, I think, if you pair it with the unstable lightning, it's gonna be the perfect weapon for a lot of gadget damage on a single target. I'm gonna place it in A tier. I would place it somewhere like A minus, right, like on the lower side of A tier, but nonetheless it definitely deserves a spot in the A tier in my opinion. And the next gadget after the multi-zapper is the spicy dagger. Now this one is a pretty cool one. You can unlock this gadget after you hit level 15. Yes, it's a bit earlier than the previous gadget I mentioned. So at level 15 you will receive a main quest, and you will have to beat the boss beat a dojo prologue dungeon in order to get it. Once you beat all three of these, essentially you will receive a main quest, or rather you will receive the gadget from the main quest reward and will be able to use it, right? And this is one of the more unique gadgets as well, as in speaking that it only has a very unique ability that only one item in this whole game has, and that is to increase all other damage that you do. Now do keep in mind this only applies to the damage you do. For example, if you are in a rift with other players, once you use this item, it will boost the damage you do from weapons, passives, gadgets and pets by 25%. However, it will not boost the damage from other allies, right? It only works for you, so if the other allies want a boost, they will have to use their own spicy dagger, right? The cooldown of this is pretty low, which is perfect, right? And the gadget itself does some damage as well. Now there are a few ways to use this gadget, right? So first of all, when you use it, you will essentially dash to the target that is closest to you. You will do a bit over 1000 damage, so a bit more than the monster taser, although my monster taser is a bit lower level, so it will be somewhat similar damage. And as soon as you use it, you will see that the enemy that it hit will turn red for like a good 4 to 5 seconds, and it will increase the damage that you do, right? The other cool part of this is the dash, right? The dash itself. Unfortunately, you cannot dash through walls, as you can see here. But as soon as you use this weapon, not only can you use it as a option to increase the damage that you do, you can also use it as a massive tool for just dashing around, right? So if there is a target in range, it will use that gadget in order to dash towards the target, even if it does not reach it fully. However, if there is no target in range, it will still allow you to dash in the direction that you are looking at. So not only is it an amazing item to boost the damage of your other weapons, but also it's an amazing item for just overall mobility for cases that require it, something like the monster chase or the boss chase rifts, right? And again, as always, I don't know how many times I've beat this boss by now, right? But yeah, if I just rewind by a few seconds, you can see that I've used the pepper item as soon as I spawn, and yeah, you just look in the direction, and if there are no enemies nearby, you can use it in order to dash really far. Now, I put up pretty much the maximum possible single target damage setup in here. I have the vitamin shot, I have the really cool sticker, I have unstable beam, unstable lightning, fully charged speedbow. As soon as I use all of the items in like the next 10 seconds, you will see the absolute massive damage numbers that you are able to dash out with it. And yeah, so let's look at it. I use all three skills and look at the damage numbers. Critical hits of 600, of 1500. By the way, for those who are unfamiliar, orange numbers are the ones coming from your passive, and the white ones are the ones coming from your basic attacks, right? Really cool sticker, for example, counts as it doesn't count, but it shows as weapon damage, so it will give you white numbers. But yeah, you can see the amount of damage that we are doing is absolutely no joke. We managed to beat Big Papa in 1 minute and 8 seconds, which was my PB as well. And I will show you the damage charts of this run, and yeah, I mean, Look at that, 233,000 damage. Keeping in mind that the boss only has like 400,000 damage, I was able to do over half of that HP in just a bit over a minute, which honestly, this pretty much means that I would be able to solo the boss in like a bit over 2 minutes with the setup, right? It's absolutely ridiculous. The pepper is an amazing gadget. It does have its downside as well. I found that especially when hunting certain bosses, you may think that you will dash to a boss and then you realize that there was some sort of a creature that is like a centimeter closer to you than the boss that you were intending to dash to, and sometimes you end up dashing backwards, so it is a little bit annoying to use, right? But overall, this gadget is a really good boost towards your single target damage in cases where you do not need any other AoE ability to boost the damage. It's pretty much the best at what it does, right? I'm not gonna give it S tier because the use for it is super limited, right? Much like the multi-zapper, the use for it is purely for dashing towards a single target enemy and increasing the damage you do with it. Another problem with that is in a lot of cases when you use this item, you also have to have a specific build built around it. For example, you cannot have any AoE gadgets that will do damage to a lot of enemies. You cannot have multiple enemies on the screen, otherwise this starts losing some use, especially if you have like 5 enemies that you are fighting. The pepper item loses a lot of its use, because if you're using the pepper, you most likely have to have a specific build around a single target damage. So yeah, it's very specific. However, it's amazing at what it does, and much like the multi-zapper, I'm gonna put it in a very high A tier. I'm definitely gonna put it above the multi-zapper because I feel like it's much better than multi-zapper, but not quite in the S tier category where I would use it and it will be like the perfect item for a lot of scenarios. And the next gadget we have is the explosive 6-pack. Now, in order to unlock it, you need to reach character level 21, right? And you will receive it as a level up reward. The way this gadget works is essentially when you use it, you will jump towards the direction you are facing at, and you will keep dropping bombs behind you in the whole area that you've dashed through, leaving a lot of ability damage. Now, overall, this weapon is kind of fun to play around, as you can see when you drop multiple, for example, in a setup like this with 4 enemies at this close range, multiple bombs will hit the same target. It will not be just one. You can see that there's like a total of 10 damage ticks, which means some targets are getting 1 hit, some targets are getting 2, some targets are getting 3 hits. It's also really fun to use in some scenarios where you are stuck. For example, you can dash behind a wall, right? Not only behind small walls like this, but you can actually dash over some bigger walls in some of the content as well. The main use I found for it is unfortunately only PvP. I know if some of you have played the recent PvP event that happened, it was all about using the Monster Slugger and this item. So in a way, right, especially for PvP, it's a really fun item to quickly, like, you see an enemy, for example, they think that they cannot get to you, they are behind a wall, you jump through the wall and quickly nuke them in order to kill them, right? In those scenarios, I found it to work really well. However, apart from that, unfortunately, this item just doesn't have much use, right? So I have played around with this item, right? Again, like, I had to file all of the damage with it, so I did get some time to experiment with it. First I thought that it could be a decent item for a lot of these AoE damage scenarios. So much like the Elite Hunter Dojo, right? You have seen this one when I was testing the pepper spray and the snow globe. It works in a similar way to a lot of the AoE damage, right? You can use it, especially if you slow them with the pepper spray at first. You can use this jump and jump over a lot of enemies, then dash away in order to avoid the damage. However, the damage that it does is really just not that great. Also, the range of the damage, it's really awkward, right? Because you cannot just jump into the whole mix. They're scattered around too much for you to not take any damage at all. So the mobility can be a good part, but it can also be a really big downside as well, right? For example, what if I just wanted to do damage in a similar way to the pepper spray, but I didn't want to move at all, right? So yeah, you can complete dungeons like this, right? But remember, you can see the 49-second timer is what I did with having a snow globe instead of this. So it works, right? It's a bit awkward, but it's really nothing game-changing. If you look at the damage, yes, I have a fully passive build. I have a portable portal with the pepper spray, so even in the best case scenario, let's take half of the damage from the pepper spray that I've used with the portable portal, and even then you will see that the pepper spray is doing massive amounts more damage than the explosive 6-pack, right? So overall, it's a fun gadget to play around. It has some niche use in PvP, I think, right? Because it's really good at closing terrain or running away from the enemy especially. But overall, it just doesn't have any use in the current meta, I'm afraid. So yeah, because we are rating gadgets on how good they are rather than how OP they are. What? That makes no sense. We're rating them on how good they are instead of how fun they are. There we go. Yeah, this weapon does not, rather this gadget doesn't have any place in pretty much any of the content. We're not looking into PvP much. That thing is like a whole different arena. I'm mostly looking at PvE, such as Worlds, Rifts, and Dojo, and in these three scenarios, unfortunately, it doesn't have any use there. There isn't a gadget that could replace it with a much better ability, right? If you want good AoE damage, you have the pepper spray, you have the snow globe, you even have the boombox, or in worst case, the rockets, right? There's plenty of gadgets that do good AoE damage without the awkward maneuvering needed for the explosions 6-pack, right? So yeah, fortunately it's going into F tier for now. And the next gadget we have is the super loud whistle. Now, in order to unlock this gadget, you will need to reach a character level 26. You will receive it from the level up rewards, so the requirements are super simple. Just have to farm the game a little bit more than per usual, right? So yeah, what it does is essentially, again, much like the spicy dagger, it is a very unique effect to this game. As actually, no, you know what? It's not okay. It's not as unique as the spicy dagger, let's say it like that, but it's also very unique nonetheless. So the super loud whistle, it has a relatively low cooldown, and what it does is as soon as you use it, it will taunt or provoke all of the enemies around you. Essentially what this means is if you are in a fight, as soon as you use this item, you will start healing continuously, right? You will receive several healing ticks per second, and all of the enemies in a range will start attacking you instead of whatever they were attacking, right? Now, unfortunately, it's an item that I can't exactly showcase in the little training arena, so I'm gonna use it in one of the dungeons where I found it to work the best, and that is the Van defense. So the way this works, and a little bit of a pro tip for everyone trying to beat this dungeon, if you want to get a sub 2 time on Van defense, you will want to run the following build. At least that's how we did it at a relatively early elite hunter level. Everyone, literally all 4 players, take the Techno Fists weapon. 2 players will take the whistle. This means that 1 player with the whistle will be on the top side of the screen or on the right side of the screen, and the other person will be on another side of that player. What you do is essentially, as soon as the wave starts, you use the provoke. That way all of the enemies will run towards you, and you are able to easily use your Techno Fists as well as the gadgets such as a boombox, pepper spray, ice globe, or snow globe, whatever it's called, in order to quickly nuke the bosses. Now in this case I did go into the game with randoms, but as you can see, even then the taunt is working really well, right? Especially if I do have the snow globe ready. Once you use the taunt and pop the snow globe, especially on the first few waves where we have a lot of enemies, this item is amazing. I am able to sustain this, so of course the person who is using the taunt should be a little bit of a higher level, or at least have some sort of a tankier setup, because again, you are gonna be taking hits from a lot of enemies, sometimes like 10 or more. And yeah, overall it's a really cool item. It only has a few uses, right? Not a lot of dungeons will make use of this. You can use in some specific scenarios, such as the elite dojos, where you want to take away aggro from the little plump spirits that spawn. But overall, the main use I found for it is the dungeon, the Van Defense dungeon. Now I believe we do lose this dungeon if I remember correctly, but yeah, overall it's a really good item for what it does. However, it does not have too much use for it. So overall, basically this item is amazing at what it does. The problem is there aren't a lot of scenarios where you can use it, right? So while it does work really well, again, it really struggles to find its way in this meta. You can try to use it if you like are a tank or something. The problem is, again, tanks are not that needed in the current meta, right? So yeah, overall it's a pretty good item. It does what it needs to do. It does it the best. So I'm gonna put it not as much as in D tier, but as in the generalist tier, whereas it has a unique effect and it does it the best, right? Okay, and the next item we have is the Revitalizing Mist. So in order to unlock this, you will need to reach character level 24. The unlock conditions are only to receive this on hitting level 24. You do not have to do any missions. And yeah, honestly, there's not a lot to explain regarding this item. It's a really simple item. It's on an 8-second cooldown, and it will essentially heal the lowest enemy around you, right? That can be either you, that can be another ally, that can be another pet, but it will essentially heal for the same amount based on its level, as well as any passives that you have, right? Now, when it comes to using this gadget, unfortunately, you really won't find much use for it until quite later on into the game, right? Most use that I found for it is being sort of this like an emergency heal for a lot of the harder level dojos, where the self-sustain you do is just not enough, and you may get caught in a combo of like 2-3 attacks from these high level units, and you would need some emergency healing. In these cases, I found that it is a pretty good item. So for example, I'm doing the hard mode, I believe, of the what's it called, the double dragon dojo, or maybe it's the normal mode, I don't even know. I'm just doing it for the showcase purely, but essentially if you see that you are struggling with healing, especially in these solo content dungeons such as the dojo, the Revitalizing Mist is a decent option in order to heal up quite a bit. Like you can see in scenarios like this, where you can take like half of your HP bar in a second or two. It's a very good option to quickly heal up, especially if a lot of the other gadgets don't work too well in that stage. But yeah, that's pretty much the use that I found for it so far. Overall, it's in a similar category to the healing ball, right? Like it has very specific use, and it has very low amount of usage. You're not gonna use it in anything like the rifts, you're not gonna use it in anything like the worlds, right, where there's a lot of allies together with you. It's purely for some sort of solo based content, and yeah, it's really only used in dojos. Maybe you can find some use for it in PvP, but overall nothing too special, right? So yeah, because of this, it is by far not a useless gadget that I could place in F tier, right? But also it has very minimal use. You will use it in maybe like 2-3 levels of a specific dojo at most. after that there really won't be too much use for this gadget at all. So yeah, together with the revitalizing healing ball, it's gonna go into the C tier, right? And we have only 2 gadgets left, but yeah, I'm very excited about this one, and this is the really cool sticker. Now this and the next gadgets are only unlocked after you reach the Elite Hunter program, right? So in order to unlock it, you will first have to reach the Elite Hunter program. As soon as you reach it, you will receive several main quests. So one of those quests will be for the main maps, another one will be for the rifts, and the third one will be for the dojo, right? So you will be looking for the main quest based around the rifts, and yeah, there's a lot of rifts in the Elite Hunter program. As you can see, these are essentially the same rifts but 3 different difficulties. And as soon as you beat the rooftop rumble rift, right, you will unlock this item from the main mission. So essentially, once you reach the Elite program, you need to reach the 5th rift, and as soon as you beat it, you will receive it, right? Now the item itself is really cool, so I have stopped the recording here for a bit, right? And to explain it better, essentially what it does is as soon as you activate it, it will have like an option to do a second hit that will do a little bit more damage than your main weapon, right? And how it works is essentially the more you attack with your main weapon, the more damage you are able to do with the really cool sticker as well, right? So what I did here, instead of just showcasing the weapon, I did some damage testing, right? So first of all, I am gonna be doing damage with just the squid blades, right? So we'll see how much damage we're able to do per second for a few seconds. And yeah, at the current rate, you can see that our damage per second is around 600, right? Next up, I'm gonna do damage by activating the vitamin shot as well, right? So it will boost the attack speed of ours. And as you can see, the damage per second while the vitamin was active is around just over 800 per second, right? So around 600 just for the weapon, around 800 for the vitamin shot. And now if we activate both of them, you'll see that the extra hits are happening and the damage per second numbers jump to over 1.5 thousand. So that's pretty much double the damage that it did with just the vitamin shot. So yeah, not only is it one of the highest damage boosting items for your weapons, but also when paired with items like the vitamin shot, it becomes an absolute destructive material in the field. You may have seen when I tested some Big Papa runs with the speed shot, I did have both of these gadgets active, and yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous boost to your weapon damage. And yeah, just to further showcase it, I'll go into the hunting party rift. So in this one, essentially you are trying to hunt 10 rifts. I really wish I could have run like alone from all the enemies, or all the allies, I mean. But it is an amazing gadget for modes like this, for example, where you are just simply trying to skip some area until you find the boss, allowing your gadgets to recharge essentially, and as soon as you start attacking them with squid blades, you can pop both the vitamin shot and the really cool sticker, and you will see the damage become absolutely massive. I think I did get knocked out a bit from this one, but look at the damage, look at all the critical hits that you are doing. It's absolutely ridiculous. If you can get the short combo off, it's gonna do insane amounts of damage. And yeah, it's perfect paired with vitamin shot. If you don't have vitamin shot, it will work without, but of course if you have vitamin shot, the damage increase in itself will be higher than if you didn't, right? Because they sort of like stack with each other, they multiply rather than being an additive bonus, which means that having vitamin shot active will directly boost the damage from the really cool sticker as well, right? So yeah, I'm not gonna showcase the rest of the run because of how it works. I believe the damage metrics of it are not shown correctly or something like that. I'm not even sure, right? From what I've seen, sometimes it shows like really low damage, sometimes it shows normal damage. I'm not sure how it works, but yeah, this is a perfect weapon or perfect gadget for boosting your main weapon damage. and because your main weapon damage will be the main sort of way you are doing damage in a lot of the content. Together with the vitamin shot, it does have to go into the S tier category. Whether you're using vitamin shot, whether you're using a really cool sticker, or whether you'll be using both, they are an insane boost to the ability of your main weapon, and they definitely deserve that S tier. And last but not least, we have the last gadget, and that is the SHELLDON. So in order to unlock this one, you will need to do a specific main quest after unlocking the Elite Hunter program as well. So with the unlock of the Elite Hunter program, you will get access to a bunch of dojo levels, and as soon as you beat the one-on-one dungeon, this is the last dungeon for the normal mode of the difficulty. After that, you can see that it is the same dojo runs, just of hard difficulty, right? So as soon as you beat the one-on-one rift, or not the rift, the one-on-one dojo level, look into the main quest and you will receive the SHELLDON gadget. Now, how this gadget works is essentially it just spawns this little weird, I don't even know what you call it, like a turtle, right? Unfortunately, the turtle HP is relatively low. The damage he does is okay for a splash damage, but also I feel like the damage from something like a wolf stick, a wolf, will be much higher. On top of that, if you are someone who plays the game with sound, I pity you if you are trying to level this gadget, because let me actually try something. Okay, so I turned up the in-game sound from the game, right? I'm gonna boost it a bit more in here. Yeah, listen to the sound and imagine 10 of it are running around at the world map. Yeah, okay, I'm not gonna bother you anymore, right? The sound is horrible, right? The constant screaming of that turtle is driving me nuts, especially if I'm hunting and trying to level it up, right? So, yeah. And yeah, essentially what this pet does is as soon as you spawn it, it will constantly do a damage to enemies as well as taunt them. At least it does say it taunts them, although I haven't seen it too much in action. But yeah, you can see that a good chunk of enemies are hitting that turtle. But then again, here's the thing. The cooldown on that gadget is 30 seconds. That is an absolutely massive cooldown, and with a cooldown like that, I expect the gadget to be an absolute beast, right? Something like a snow globe, massive range, massive damage, massive slow. That little pet died in like 3 seconds. Look at the level I was doing. This is heavy hitting dojo. This is a dojo. This is not even an elite hunter dojo. This is the basic training dojo, the second level, right? This is a dojo that recommends you to have 1800 power, and an endgame elite hunter pet with a 30-second cooldown dies in like 3 seconds. Now, yes, I could boost the damage of it, I could boost the HP of the pets, but then again, like at that cooldown, I would understand this performance if it had maybe like 5 or 7 second cooldown. At 30 seconds, that pet would have to either do massive amounts of AoE damage, or it would have to be like, I don't know, minimum 5 times tankier at like 15k HP, I don't know. At this point, this gadget is unfortunately super bad. In fact, it's probably one of the worst gadgets that exists, and yeah, unfortunately, at a cooldown like that, and look at that, by the way, SHELLDON's strong armor makes him take 50% less damage. That was 50% less damage, and he died to a raid or to a dojo that is meant to be completed at like level 15 or something, right? Maybe even earlier. Yeah, it has absolutely no place in the meta. It has no use at all, even in pet teams, right? If you go for a full pet team, something like a buzzkill to spawn the bees, something like the SHELLDON, the chickens, even then he really has trouble finding any use for it. And here's the deal, buzzkill, right? This one is able to spawn 3 pets, it's able to spawn 3 bees. The bees have ranged attacks and they have pretty much the same HP as the SHELLDON. Like, Yeah, Sheldon, very disappointing, especially for being the hardest gadget to unlock. And for this reason alone, without any further reasoning, I think the showcase there was enough. Not only to place him in F tier, but probably I would put another tier even below that, because these items don't deserve being in the same tier as the Sheldon, right? They actually have way more use. In my opinion, maybe when we have some need for pets, it will be better, but overall, at this amount of HP, they definitely have to be a little bit tankier, or have some sort of other abilities such as very high AoE damage in order to be any use at all. And yeah, that's pretty much the final tier list I have. For S tier, vitamin shot, pepper spray, snow globe, and sticker. Amazing items. The spicy dagger and the multi ZAPPER in A tier. Amazing single target damage dealing items. I didn't want to put them in B tier, even though they are sort of like general items that you only use for one specific purpose. They are so good at that purpose that it just felt right to put them in the A tier. For B tier, we have the BOOMBOX, which is a decent AoE plus utility gadget. We have the TASER. It's a good single target damage, but only earlier on. It gets really easily outshadowed. And the whistle, it has like one specific use for like one or two specific pieces of content, but overall, not only does it have less use than that, but it can also grief you if you are using, for example, it in worlds. All of the bosses will start attacking you and you will just die immediately, right? Smart fireworks, good damage early on, but will easily get outshadowed later on by gadgets like these. The healing items, again, they're good healing items. They're the two only healing items that affect other allies. The problem with that is, no, you don't really need that much healing in a lot of cases, right? So they're in C tier. If they had actual use, like half of the dungeons required healing, I would easily put them in B. But for now, they're sticking in C tier. And F tier, this is just like two really niche items that unfortunately don't have any use. And this, honestly, this is like a meme unit. This is a meme gadget, that's all. So yeah, hope you enjoy. Let me know your opinion about this one. Maybe you agree or disagree on some points. I know that a lot of people might disagree on this. For some reason, vitamin shot is a really controversial gadget in here. I feel like a lot of people might think that rockets should be higher. I personally don't think they deserve any higher than C tier, because we do have good enough gadgets. But yeah, that's my tier list, right? Feel free to disagree with it and let me know, because I'm very curious to see your opinions, whether you agree or disagree, because I do love to explore the way different people have different play styles in this game especially. And yeah, hope you enjoyed. If you want to check out a weapon tier list similar to this one, I will leave it either in the description or the pinned comment, and I do plan on making one on the passives as well. And yeah, hope you enjoyed, and peace.